Hey, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to another BlackSwanRadio.com production. I'm your host, Rondell Jordan. Today, as usual, I have a little bit of food for thought for you. All right, a little high-level conversation. And this is part 2 of a podcast that I'm doing, or a series that I'm doing, addressing the conversation of relationships in the modern day and age. And, you know, what I do is, of course, add a worldview spin to it, right? Because, you know, I've had the, privilege or the honor or to experience a variety of different cultures, and whether it's in my travels or even in my dating experiences, being in the military, living in a very diverse place here in Columbus, Ohio. I feel blessed to have a diverse experience with different people from different parts of the world, And I think this is the thing that I love most about the United States is the diversity. But to go abroad and experience, the cultures and the communities where these people come from is extraordinary. So I have neighbors who are Egyptian, and I have neighbors who are Brazilian, I have neighbors who are from Mexico, I have neighbors who are from, various different countries. And so to be able to actually visit these places and, feel life in a different way is extraordinary. And, I think this is the most valuable thing that I have done in my life. And I'm glad that I have made a succession of experiences year after year. And I invite and also recommend the young to do so as well. Each year, strive to go and see and experience something extraordinary, something beyond the norm. And it's going to require certain determination. And I mean that in both senses of the words. You're going to have to determine where and what time frame that is going to be. And also, you're going to have to be determined to make it happen. And that is by speaking the words, writing the words down, walking through the process of the journey, and having faith in the Most High that it will do the destiny aspect of your destination. All right? And so, I have been given a sense of duality, meaning that this is a co-piloting experience that we are experiencing here called life, right? So whether we want to say it's our ancestors, which I do entertain, or you want to call it a God that's omnipresent, that is guiding us and protecting us and leading us and manipulating our environment in intangible ways. Whatever we want to call it, we just all agree that there is a divine presence. And I respect and honor that. And with that said, let's get into today's conversation, right? Because in the last podcast, I talked about how when I went to Egypt and we were invited by our guide to have lunch with his wife and his family. And he also invited another gentleman who was a traveler. Also, he had military background from the army, and he was, very well traveled. He's a world trotter, globetrotter, and we were having this lunch, and it was extravagant in the sense of the way the food was prepared and the way the food tasted. it was so much. I got full. I really don't eat much. But, you know, I knew that she deserved as much, if not more, well more than what we paid at any restaurant. That's how delicious the food was. And we were in this very, humble home. Right? And she fed us on a giant platter, wide variety of traditional foods that took a lot of time to make. Meats, breads, veggies, rolls, various different sauces. And, you know, I sat on the bed of his son sleeping, his daughter, and the mother pregnant, his wife pregnant, presenting us this food. Never mentioning any fee or anything. Of course, I felt compelled to give her as much as I felt like I could afford at that point. She deserved more. I think it was, degrading. But my point is that with so much less, she was able to do more than I've ever experienced as a guest here in the United States, from a woman here in the United States. And the love I've seen between the two, the respect and the care between the two, not only beyond the hospitality, the yearning between the son and his father. And this was a man who was a hard worker, very loyal worker, very kind man, very patient. My point is that, that set a standard of a nuclear family. The walls did not matter. He was a provider, and she was a caretaker, caring for not only the children but his guests. And I'm speechless by, how wealthy he was, and yet how humble he was in regards to economics, but wealthy as far as love, real love, family. I seen in Brazil, for an example, lovers holding hands, looking into each other's eyes, public display of affection often, and enjoying the most simple things, just the walks, standing at the train station, looking over at the lagoon. Really mostly just enjoying the view and the company and the ambiance with someone who you care about. The amount of money being spent seemed not to matter as much as the company. Sometimes there's laughter and play, sometimes there's competition, sometimes there's dancing, sometimes there's just gazing in their eyes, sometimes they're singing together, harmonizing with others around in a circle. But I've seen love and relationships and the interaction between males and females happen in a more enjoyable and pleasant manner. Even if it didn't last longer, at least in those moments, these two human beings were experiencing a more fulfilling and true, authentic indulgence and pleasure and love. I've never, and I haven't really had bad experiences like a lot of men proclaim here in the States. I did, my marriage ended up tragic. My marriage, ended, when I never really had that vision of it ending. But, not to say that I didn't know that an end was ensuing because of the nature of how it was and even how it began. I think that when I was young, we're conditioned to ignore red flags, thinking that that is what love is. And if you disagree with that, look at the heart. Type heart and look at the emoji that comes up. It's a red heart. It's a red flag that's cut in the shape, a curvaceous shape. Look at a rose. The icon for rose is red. Another red flag. But we associate these red items, these objects with love. At the same time, a white rose represents purity, friendship. So we acknowledge the color language of the white rose, but not the red rose, because it's association with love and passion. And I really realized that that's dangerous, and that's the reason why the flags are red. But we overlook these things because we say, I love her, so I'll overlook this, I'll overlook that. I can do that, I can do this. But ultimately what you're doing is you're accepting toxicity. You're undertaking, not to say that you're even in the position to be able to be undertaken. You feel me? So I'm not suggesting that you are in some high and mighty position to be judging some other person. In many ways, that could be what caused you to settle with that position. It's because at that moment in your life, you may have been at a low, unstable position, and therefore your state and their state equaled at the moment. And so now that equality there between, both of you guys are now wounded or broken or at a low state in your life, you think you can pair and ascend together. And there's a problem there. And the problem is that you have a unmatched ecosystem. You have unmatched energy, unmatched values, unmatched effort being put into the care and upkeep in building up the relationship. One person may think they are in the position to judge, to compare and compete, when that isn't what love is about. And so in the next episode, what I'm going to do is, talk about the long-term relationship. Because what we hear mostly is things having to do with dating in the short term. But how do we as men experience you in long-term relationships?